Hello, I'm Penny Thornton and welcome to my astrology channel. On this video, I'm going to be looking at Capricorn for the month of December 2020. Now, as you may know, I like to look at things a little bit more in depth, and I like to use the astrology to go with it, and that's twofold. First of all, because I think it's important to know that these things don't come out of thin air. My statements don't just get made up. They actually relate to certain angles and positions of the planets. So I like to use a chart. And the other factor about using a chart is that it reminds me where I am. And so I'm less likely to lose the plot. Okay, so I've disappeared up into the corner there, and I will be using this to tell you what the important things are ahead for the month of December. Here we are with your sign Capricorn, and you can see that there's quite a concentration of planets in this little area of the chart. That means the sign of Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius. And what happens when you've got a concentration of planets like this is that you get quite an intense feel to life. And so if you feel you've got a lot on your plate, not necessarily a lot of things to do so much as just a lot of things that are bearing down on you to a certain extent, it's often a response to having such a concentration of planets in a particular area of your chart. Now, I work from a solar chart, so that's how I roll here. But of course, if you know your natal chart, or you'll know where perhaps other aspects of this concentration of planetary pointers are. You'll know what other areas is bringing to light. Now, as we start off the month, the Sun will be, and Mercury will be in the 12th house of your horoscope. Now, the 12th house is a very, I sometimes say sotto voce. It's a very low-key place, and sometimes people don't know what to do with the 12th house. It's like, what happens in the 12th house? Well, I call it the powerhouse of the zodiac, because it's the unconscious mind. And, the way I feel is that everything starts in the unconscious mind, in the world of the unconscious. It takes seed there, takes root there, and grows into reality. So this becomes, this period for you from the start of December through to the 21st of December, that 3-week period, is a period of preparation. It's a period of rest and respite. And even if you're watching me and saying, don't be ridiculous, I've got, a whole lot of stuff to do. I've got the kids, whatever. But in point of fact, just by making or taking the time to perhaps go to bed a couple of hours earlier, doing something that allows you to have more rest and more sleep, is actually feeding your unconscious mind. And when we're aligned with our unconscious mind, not only are we more in harmony with life generally, but all sorts of insights and understandings can reach us. And it's with those understandings that we can go forward with more clarity. So this 3 weeks of December in the beginning is a very important seeding time. You may actually feel a little bit left out of the loop, and that's commonplace when you have a 12th house transit. But it also is an important time for the health of mind, body, and spirit. So throughout those 3 weeks, whether you're going to get your annual physical check, or whether you need to have your annual dental check, things like that are always worthwhile doing while the Sun is moving through the 12th house. But also, if you have any old injuries or persistent problems, and we all do this, don't we? We all say, oh, it'll clear up by itself. Well, it probably won't with the 12th house transit. So always get it checked out. Injuries, things that are bothering you, things that are on your mind, get them checked out. Now, one of the most important things that's going to happen while you're in the 12th house, so to speak, the house of secrets and shadows, is there's going to be a total solar eclipse here. Now, this to you is a sign of a great new beginning, which is going to happen as we go through 2021. It may not be immediately obvious in December, but as you go through the early months of 2021, you may notice that you feel different, that there seem to be different aspects of your life now in prominence. And this will give a sense of, I'm on to not necessarily a new era, that might be a bit too grand, but at least a new page of your life. Now, particularly around the 14th of December, when the total solar eclipse happens, and if you're in South Africa or South America, you will be able to see it if you look through some of those special lenses. But the symbolism remains the same, whether you can see it or not. So it's a time when great new ideas are forming, and where you may be aware of your feelings too. You know, sometimes how a feeling dawns on us, how we feel about someone, how we feel about a certain situation in our lives. Well, that total solar eclipse is like a massive awakening. Wow, this is how I feel. This is what I want to do. This is what I believe in. A little earlier in the month, and we're talking about the 9th and the 13th, the sun here in the 12th house will be angling Neptune. And that's often a very foggy period. I mean, sometimes quite literally, there is fog around. There seems to be more fog, but really it's a figurative statement, and that you may feel as though you're in a fog, that you're not too sure about whether a situation is real or not. You're not too sure how you feel about something. And I have to say, with Venus in the 12th house from the 15th of December onwards, it is possible that a relationship has gone into the chiller, that somehow it isn't as vibrant as it once was, and you're worried about whether it's still, it's going to work out or not. That's a 12th house thing too. And the important thing to remember, both about Neptune aspects, and we're looking, in that first week of December and right up really until a little after the solar eclipse of the 15th. If you feel that you're not sure of the ground that you're on, things seem to be a little slippy and fuzzy around the edges, what you really are is in a time of transition. Neptune is always transitioning somewhere, and you can never really see clearly where the route is, but you have to trust it. And so some of those feelings that you're having about the change in the dynamics of a relationship or how it feels, or even of some other kind of situation, it may be real, it may not be. And the thing to do is to just monitor it, but not to get too extreme about it or to act on it without real facts and figures. Now, as we get to the 21st of the month, the sun comes into your own sign. We start the whole period of Capricorn. But not only that, on the same day, Saturn, your ruling planet, enters Aquarius. Saturn has been moving through Capricorn for the last 2.5 years, and it is the reason so many Capricorns have felt life has been an uphill struggle. Even if you've been successful, even if good things have happened in that 2.5 year period, my goodness, they've had to be, placed against some of the more difficult things that you've been through. And sometimes you may have felt as though there were real obstructions in front of you that didn't need to be there. But of course, Saturn is the great teacher of the planets. That's how we learn. We learn the hard way. And certainly in 2020, with the coronavirus and all the things that have happened in the wake of the coronavirus, have urged every single one of us to learn something we didn't know about ourselves, and to learn a lot about the life we lead and how to find new resources. And in fact, that's a really important message as Saturn enters Aquarius on the 17th of December, and Jupiter follows on the 19th. I'll talk about Jupiter for a minute now, because Jupiter will be moving through Aquarius for the entire year, for 2021. And this area of the chart has a lot to do with your resources, your financial resources, but also, what you have as a person in terms of your talent, your personal assets. And Jupiter tends to grow things. So you could grow money, which would be very nice, and you could grow your reputation, and you may find that people are looking to you and valuing you more. Jupiter really ups our value, which is a really, really good thing. And what I want to urge you to think about, although I'll be talking about this in my year ahead forecast, that, sometimes we think, oh, it's not the right time. this and that. I can't do that right now. That opportunity will come again. I'll do it later. Well, it won't. What you want to do with Jupiter in Aquarius in this area of self-worth, finance, and all sorts of material things too, you want to take your opportunities as they arise. This is the year to really make it, to push the boat out. If you're entrepreneurial in any way, go for it. Now, Saturn's transit of Aquarius says a rather different thing, and that's a 2 and a bit year process. And it may show you wrong thinking about money, and also wrong thinking about what values you have in life. Now, you won't necessarily get that in December. It'll be a process that I'll talk more about as we go through this next year. But Saturn comes into Aquarius with the moon. So it is almost as though the feelings that you have at this time, on this date, the things that happen, could be a bit of a precursor of what is to come. Now, as I said, on the 21st of December, the sun comes into your sign. And on the same day, Jupiter and Saturn are in conjunction. It's very important materially. It's a time when sometimes if you're going to begin something of a material or financial nature, it's a successful point. What you do around that time leads to success. But it's more than just the material world. It's more than just making money and making a name for yourself. I think it's also to do with the things that shape your life. And they're going to be different from Capricorn to Capricorn. But that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction says, really look at the pillars of your life, the things that shape your life. Because at that time, making a statement about it, putting things in place is very powerful indeed. We're coming to the end of the month, and on Christmas Eve, Mars, here in Aries, is angling up to Pluto. And this is an angle of tension. And the reason why this last 6 months for you has been really, really difficult. Mars wants to go, go, go and do things. And Saturn, Pluto, there have been a lot of restrictions. Well, quite literally, lockdowns, that kind of restriction. But also when you have wanted to put ideas out there or get something going, it's like it's never the right time, or you don't have enough money, or there's been something there. So it's been very frustrating. But this is your last aspect of frustration. And there are two things. Either this is a time for a really big push around Christmas time. You really push for something that you want to achieve, that you want to have happen, because you've got all the big guns here with Mars and Pluto. But it can also be a confrontational time. Perhaps you'll see that happening out there on the world stage. And so what you don't want to do is, if you get into an argy-bargy with someone, withdraw gracefully, because it will be very easy to detonate a relationship or to detonate a situation at this time. And perhaps you don't want to do that. Nevertheless, sometimes you're better off without certain things, certain people, certain situations. And even in the 12th house, that solar eclipse is about a new chapter. And maybe the way to get that new chapter off and running is to get rid of what you don't need. Last but not least, and we're coming to the 30th of December, and we have a full moon. The sun will be in the sign of Capricorn, and the moon will be in your opposite sign. So you may be thinking very hard about a relationship at this point. Is it the time to make a relationship permanent? Is it the time to join a company? Is it the time to do something in terms of nailing your colors to the mast? Or is it the time to say, you know, I think we're done and dusted? That full moon is all about conclusions, both in the sense of coming to an understanding and coming to an ending. So I'm at an ending. I'm just going to come back into the room to say goodbye to you. And as you can see, December is a month, many things going on, but because of the 12th house transit for a good 3 weeks of it, it might almost seem as though you're not really in control of it, or you feel left out of the loop. But come the 21st, when the sun comes into your own sign, then you really do start to get moving and motoring. And I think in many ways, if there was just a word that would sum up December for you, it's preparation. And then we can look at preparation meeting opportunity in the new year. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you on my next monthly video, which will be January 2021, and of course on my twice monthly videos that take the new moon and the full moon as my starting point. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.